Such a lovely evening it was, with great hustle and bustle in that restaurant. All the people were enjoying exquisite environment with that noise of the cutlery. What a setup it was. Surahi was humming the light music being played in the background. लग जा गले के फिर ये हंसी रात हो ना हो. Whoa! All of a sudden, her sight took a sheer glance out of the window where a woman was carrying her infant in her lap, was actually begging for money. Surahi guessed it could be the thing just to cater the need of the foods for the baby. Just only then, while having her food, Surahi was filled with nostalgia. This instance suddenly reminded her of those days of a college which were actually piled up with struggle and tiffs. What a phase of light it was, Surahi exclaimed louder inside her head. Whoa, money. It's that commodity which makes people do such inappropriate things or to face such harshness in life, which may overshadow their existence. And yes, the same had happened with the girl, unfortunately. On 26th of July 2010, Surahi was toiling and standing in a long queue for her turn to show up. But this was not one of the finest waits she could ever have done in her life. She had ever wanted. However, her main reason to stand there under the scorching heat of the sun in one of the hottest months of India in those sunny days in such lousy clothes was just to meet the head of the administrations of the college. This was not the appreciation award she was going to beg, rather getting concession for the annual college fees was one of the plausible cause behind the struggle, and her turn for this unforgettable interview came close. Since she started entangling into her own thoughts, being clumsy and having that dilemma whether she would get through that conversation or not, were actually tearing her apart. Eventually, as her turn showed up, she suddenly got nervous and handed over the folder of credentials with such sweaty palms to the designated staff, and in return, what she got? Just a stare from the madam she got to. She was not actually so much welcoming towards Surahi. Her entire self-esteem had shattered into such tiny pieces that she was thought of the day it would be the last day of her college. Her torn clothes and those frizzy hair were actually shouting louder than the issues she had been actually encountering into her life during those days. Her sadness from the family, her financial crisis, and many more things. She was actually working hard during those days to meet the both ends meet for her life. Further, it was just the lack of money which let her hear those harsh words from the teacher, from the world, that if you don't have bucks in your pocket, then why you come here? Why you get to such better institution just to instill edification? Oh my God. Surahi, this kind of words actually torn her apart. Those were not just the collection of alphabets. In fact, that blast which had busted her placidity a while ago for the rest of her life. Being numb, she could only do was to lower her head in front of the atrocity of the world. The tears kept rolling down from her cheeks. All in all, she was left in the end was so many questions from the God, so many thoughts, her differentiation of the financial status of her and her classmates from all around the world. Why, God, why? She kept on asking those words continuously from God. And after hearing the cheers from the crowd, Surahi had a fragile and deputized girl which she could be there into the present scenario. But I think after a gap of 11 years, when suddenly Surahi came into the sight that no, she is right now sitting into a restaurant having the fine dine in one of the finest places of the town and being into such fancy clothing was the one where she could ever be into her strongest suits. So I think this is all about the struggle of the money that Surahi had underwent in the journey of 10 to 11 years. So I think टाइम इट नेवर स्टेज द सेम. समय सिर्फ समय की बात ही है ज़िंदगी में दोस्तों. इट हैज़ वेरी डिफरेंट फेजेस, डिफरेंट एंगल्स इन डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ लाइफ. So I think the story of Surahi actually enumerated that we should always be enrooted to the place where we actually belong to and enjoy the bliss of God, no matter what the state we are into. But we should try and achieve whatever we have and always embrace that beautiful thing that we can ever do. Thank you and love.